Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to this little corner of the internet. I really hope that you're doing well. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so happy that you stumbled up on in here, and I really hope that you're going to decide to stay. So today's video is going to be a GoodNotes review, a very in-depth GoodNotes review. I'm going to try to answer to all of the different questions, all of the even new features. I really try to stay up to date on that. So if it's something that interests you, please stay. I'm really sure that this is going to be valuable to you. Also, if you prefer to have more of a GoodNotes versus Notability video that compares the two, I have that as well. So I'm going to put that in the eye up there. Might be on the wrong side, but whatever. And just before we start, every single thing will be timestamped. So if you're just looking for a specific detail or just a specific thing, you can just look at the description and find what you're looking for. So without further ado, let's jump right in and let's start with the price. So what is the price of a GoodNotes 5? GoodNotes recently changed the way they do their pricing. So it used to be on the App Store, you would pay the price and then you would immediately have the app on your iPad. But now it changed to having a free version of it, which is you have three trial notes. And then if you feel like it's the app that you enjoy, that you like the feel of it, then you can do the in-app one-time purchase of $7.99 US, which is 6.08 pounds. So basically, I think that's much better than what they used to do, because now it means that everything I'm telling to you guys and talking about today, you can actually try it and have a feel for yourself when you with just the free version of the app, which is obviously a bit restricted. You can only do 3 different notes. And then the next thing that I think is important to talk about is what devices support GoodNotes 5. So first of all, GoodNotes 5 is an iOS app only. It's on Android. And then it runs on iPads that have the iPad OS 13 software or later, and on MacBooks and computers that run the Catalina software or later. So basically that's that. Okay, and then I think now it's time to jump right in GoodNotes and look through everything, and let's just chat. So let's go do that. Let's jump right into GoodNotes right now. Okay, so we're currently in GoodNotes. That's immediately the thing you see when you open GoodNotes and no folder or file is open. So first, let's talk about how the files and documents are actually organized in GoodNotes. So the way I can describe this the best is that it's organized in the same way as it would be organized in an Apple computer, a filing system. So you just have a folder, and then you can have a folder within a folder, and a folder within a folder, and all of that, and then just have files lying around. So for example, here I have 5 folders: the GoodNotes Review, Medicine Application, School, University, and then after that I have just 5 random files that are not within a folder. So the way you can put a file within a folder is you can just drag it like that, or you can click at the top here and then click here and then say move and then put it within the folder you want to put it in. Okay. Another thing that I think is important to mention is that just like in the Apple filing system, you can have your documents as lines, or you can have them as those little cubic things. I don't really like this because it looks a bit more messy to me. I really like it having that way. But if you prefer it this way, you can also have it that way. Also, you can organize, just like, again, in the Apple filing system or any filing system for that matter, you can have it organized by type, so having the folders first, then just the random files, or by name, so alphabetical order, or by date, so last opened. But I prefer doing it by type. Okay? So now I have this folder here that's called GoodNotes Review, which is the folder we're going to be using to just demonstrate everything. So let's just click on it. And then within that folder, I have 2 different folders that are dummy folders. And here I have just a notes that we're going to be using to explain and showcase all of the things that GoodNotes can do. But the way you create a note is you click on New at the top here. You can create a notebook, choose whichever paper you want to use, and then you can title it here. Now we're going to talk about the different tools that we have here. We're going to start with the pen, move our way down to the right, and then we're going to talk about the little zooming feature here at the end of all of this. So let's start with the pen. So first of all, the pen here in GoodNotes, if you click on it, you have 3 different types of pen that you can use. You have the fountain pen, the ball pen, the brush pen. And so let's just showcase all of them. Let me just choose a black color, double tap to make it bigger. Use the fountain pen. You can change the tip sharpness and the pressure sensitivity as well. So the fountain pen works like this. You can just, if I'm here, I was pressing very loosely, but if I press much harder, it's a thicker line. If I increase the pressure sensitivity to the max, you see how I can have an even thinner line when I put the same amount of pressure on this pen than for the first line here. So I can have like really thick, thin, and then really, really thick if I press really hard. And then the tip sharpness, I just kind of like having it at 25 and 50. And then the ball pen has no other features. It just is the ball pen. So let me just do it here. So like it works like this. It's always here I'm like pressing really hard, here I'm pressing not hard, and it's just always the same thickness. It doesn't change. So if that's how you like your pens, you can have that one. And then the brush pen has a pressure sensitivity as well. So this one goes into more thickness than the fountain pen, just because if you have a brush pen and you press on the brush, then it's going to be much thicker than a fountain pen. So here I'm like pressing really, really lightly, and here I'm pressing really, really hard. And you can see that these two are different, right? This one is a bit thick. This one is a bit thicker than this one. Okay. And then let's talk about here the draw and hold section of the pen section. So basically draw and hold means that whenever you, let's say I want to do a square, I can just draw a square here, and then if I hold it, it's going to create a square. Okay, do you see how the square within it is shaded? It's shaded because it says here advanced options, I want it to fill color. So let's say I can do the same with a circle, I can do the same with a star, I can do the same with an oval. And also, like, if let's say I'm doing like a square, my pen is still holding right now. It snaps to the shape. I can now make it bigger. You know, I can make it taller. If I still haven't like lifted my pen right now. So this is something you can do. It's quite easy, especially if you're doing like geometry and math class. It's quite easy to just have like perfect straight lines, and I just quite like it. If once you've like done, I'm gonna do another square here just to show something else. Once I've done my square, okay, taking my pen off and it's snapped. If I don't want the outline and I just want the shade, I can just click on go back, and that's just going to give me the shade. But if I don't want the shade, I can just click on the eraser and click in the middle, and it's going to take the shade off. So like the same here and stuff like that. Okay, then let's talk about just the color of the pens and all of that before we move on to something else. So basically, to choose a color, you have like 3 key colors at the top here that I'm just clicking. And so if you click on one of the colors, again, you can change them. So let's say I don't want to have green at the top anymore. I want it to be this pink. I can just click on the pink, and the pink's going to be there. And so here, when I click on this, I have like a lot of different colors, right? And these colors are my presets, just because I prefer working with like colors that I add to my presets and just know exactly that I want this green. But you can also go to custom here and choose any single color here. But as you see, if you're somebody that's an artist that likes like a very specific tonality of a color, you're not obviously always going to find it here. So what you can do is either you have the hex number of the color and you can just key it in there, or you can click on this and then that's like the wheel. So let's say I want like a shade, I'm feeling like a blue today. Let's say I want a shade of blue, but like more that goes towards the gray. I can find that color and I can either just like have it here and then just use it. But then if I want another color, I'm going to lose that color, and I'm not going to find the exact same color just because I didn't save it. So next time, if I'm like, okay, I made a mistake, let me save it, I can click add to presets. And then so now it's going to appear here. And then if I realize, oh, actually, I don't like this color, I don't want it to be in my presets anymore, just edit that and then say remove color. Also, if you like your colors to be in a very specific order, you can just move them around like this and have them however you want them to be. And that's how the color function works. Here you have like settings, which you can like just click and restore the initial color set. So GoodNotes provides you with like, I think, a few preset colors already. And if you want to go back to that because you're like, oh, my palette is a bit too messed up and I just want to start from scratch, you can do that. And then let's talk about just the thickness. So the pen thickness as well, you can have 3 different thickness that are saved here. So I like to have a very small one, 0.25, a bit bigger, 0.35, and then a bit of a bigger one. So the way you change it, it goes from 0.01 millimeters to all the way to 2 millimeters. So 2 millimeters looks like this, and then 1 looks like this. So it really goes from really, really thin to quite thick. So that's how the pen function works in total. Let me just erase everything and let's move on to the eraser. So if you click on the eraser has 3 different eraser styles. So there's precision eraser, standard eraser, and stroke eraser. And the best way for me to actually showcase the eraser is I'm going to go back to 0.65 and like I'm just going to write 3 different words, and I'm going to write a GoodNotes, but I'm gonna highlight it. So first of all, the eraser has 3 different thicknesses, and these thicknesses actually can't be changed. It's kind of like small, medium, large, and they're just like within the app. I can't make it like 0.1 as we could with the pen here. You see like how this is 0.25? You can't do that with the eraser. The eraser is just small, medium, large. So I'm gonna choose medium. So currently I'm on the stroke eraser. Let me just zoom in. So that means that like the S here that you can see, this S, is just 1 stroke because I did it in 1 go. So if I erase it, it's going to erase it in 1 go. I touched it and it immediately went away. If you look at GO here, that's 1 stroke. I didn't lift my pen up once to do the GO. So if I click on the eraser and erase that, it's going to erase the whole thing. Okay, so that's how the stroke eraser works. If you have the standard eraser, that's basically just a normal eraser. It's not very, very precise. It just erases as you go sort of thing. And let's say you're like, I want it to be much more precise, and even this is not precise enough. I realize that if you zoom in a lot, like to the maximum, you can have a bit more precision of like how to erase. But at the same time, it's not the most precise, and sometimes you really, really want to have a very precise erase of something, especially if you're drawing or just, you know, sometimes you just need that. So you can now use the new eraser type that GoodNotes just came up with, which is called the precision eraser, that basically erases a pixel by pixel. So let's say here I want to, you know, erase. It really is really, really specific. Do you see how specific that is? You can see the circle of the eraser. So if you zoom in, you can really erase really, really, really specifically. And that kind of makes you feel a little bit more like you're erasing either like Procreate eraser style or as well just like erasing on a paper. It's really, really specific, and I really quite like that. Another thing that the eraser has is that you have erase highlighter only. So let me just go back to the standard eraser. That actually is going to erase only the highlighter. Just remember to take it off before, because I'm not gonna like, why my eraser not working? Its erase is not working because you have the erase highlighter only. Also, the other thing that I really like is this little function here in the eraser section called auto-deselect. And so basically that means that, let's say I'm writing GoodNotes here, like the last one that's written here, and I'm like, oh, I just need to erase something. I erase it, and then it snaps right back to the last tool that I was using. So let's say I was writing about, like, I don't know, I am a medic, and I was like, oh, I made a mistake. So I can just erase that, go back to the C, and then it snaps right back to the pen, and then I can just continue, medical student. And then another mistake, just erase, continue, I love medicine. You know, so it's quite good, and it helps you gain time rather than going up to the toolbar all the time. So we've talked about now the pen and the eraser. Now let's talk about how the highlighter works. So the highlighter works, the color selection is very similar to the colors for the pen. So you have presets that you can, you know, edit or add on. You can go back to the restore color set, and you can also choose your customs this way or that way, or with the hex. So let's say I add that to the presets and that's a new color. Oh, it's very similar to the one I had before. That's quite funny. So let me just remove that. So you have your highlighter, and then you have, again, 3 different thicknesses, but these ones you can also select them. It goes from 1 to 7.7. So this is the thickness difference. If you highlight on top of the highlighter, on top of the highlighter, on top of the highlighter, it makes it darker and darker and darker and darker and darker, okay? Just so you know. So the way the highlighter works is that it actually, whenever you highlight on top of it, you can see that the highlighter is on top of the GoodNotes, right? If you raise your pen, the color goes immediately behind. Let's try again. The color's above, the color's below, okay? The color's above, the color's below. Other functions of the highlighter, if you highlight and you hold the pen for a while, it becomes a straight line. Let me choose maybe like a darker color so you can see a bit better. I highlight, it's not that straight, keep it for a while, it becomes straight. So you can either do that, which in my opinion takes a long time to like highlight and then wait, okay, now it's straight, now I can move on. Or you can click on the highlighter function and say draw in a straight line. So everything you draw will immediately snap to a straight line once you lift the pen up, which I think, in my opinion, is just quicker. It makes you gain time, even though you do have that thing of like you can hold it and it's going to make a straight line. So that's how the highlighter function works. Now let's talk about this, which is the shape function. So we kind of talked about it when we were talking about the pen, how like if you make a square and you hold, it's going to snap to the square and then fill it with a color inside. But if you actually click on the shape tool here, you don't have to wait. So you can just do a square and it's immediately going to snap. You don't have to wait, you know what I mean? Whereas like if I'm on the pen function, if I don't wait, it's just going to stay like that. Whereas I go here, I like immediately pen up, it's immediately a square. Boom, pen up, it's immediately a circle. So it is making you gain time if you're wanting to do a lot of different shapes at the same time. Rather than waiting, you can just click on that and it's immediately going to do it for you. You can say that you want it to require to hold to snap, so it's going to work just like the pen. So you have to do like a triangle, let's say, then wait, then it's going to snap and you can take your pen out. Whereas like if you don't have that, you can just do again like a circle and then it's just going to snap immediately. Another thing that you have on here is that if you now click on your shape, so I just clicked with my finger, I think it works as well with the pen. You can just like make it bigger, make it smaller. You can change all the different dimensions like that. So let's say it snapped not exactly to what you wanted, you can just resize it the way you want to. So that's how this function works. Now we're going to look at the lasso tool. So the lasso tool is basically a tool that allows you to select different things. See how I wrote GoodNotes here, and maybe I'm like, oh, I wanted it to actually be here and like straight. So what I can do is I can select the lasso tool and lasso GoodNotes 5. And I can move it around anywhere I want to and like reposition it. If I click on it as well, you have different things to do. You can have cut, copy, delete, resize, color, take a screenshot, add an element, or convert. So let's say the first three are very like understandable. Then you have resize, so I can resize it, make it bigger, make it smaller, and I can also rotate it. So you know how I want it to be a bit straighter, I can have it that way. And then if I'm like, okay, I actually want to change the color, click on it, change the color, I want to make it red. I do another lasso, take a screenshot, is I have a screenshot here and I can just be like, okay, now I want to send this to AirDrop, send this to my phone, whatever. Here I can add it to an element, so I can make it just in a new collection, make it like, call it GoodNotes Review. We'll talk about elements in a little bit. And then create. And then what's the other thing you can do? You can convert it. So let's say I want to convert it to text. My writing was not very precise, but it converted to GoodNotes 5. Let's try it with a handwriting that's a bit more precise. Let me convert that to text. Yeah, now it's converted to text well, and I can just send that, for example, to notes or something. Okay, so that's how the lasso tool works. If you click on it, yeah, it allows you to lasso different things. So here I have it all on, so I want to be able to lasso handwriting, images, text boxes, and comments. But let's say I take this off. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to move around like handwriting, but I'll be able to move around images, text box, and comments, but not anything else. But I prefer to be able to move around all of these different things, okay? Okay, so that's that tool. The other tool we can talk about here is elements. So basically, elements are, they're kind of like little post-it notes that you can add to your note, but that either come from GoodNotes or you can make your own. So when I was doing the Notability video, I made my own, this came from a photo and I made it into an element, just before I created a new thing that's called GoodNotes Review, and I have my GoodNotes 5 element. The use of this actually is for people that, let's say, for example, you're a physics student and you're always going to write V equals D over T. And you don't want to spend your time rewriting it all the time, or like even like complex equations. It can be more complex than that. It can be like, I don't remember complex equations, but it can be more complex. And you're like, okay, let me just take this, make this an element and add it to my GoodNotes Review element. Or you can add it to like your formula physics formula folder. And then you just click on there, you go on GoodNotes review, and then you have it. So like every single time you need it, you just have it, resize it, add it to your note, and you don't have to rewrite it all the time. So that's like kind of the beauty of it. You can also like make it a different page if you like have so many of them that you want to, you know, see them bigger. And then you have the recently used, you have sticky notes that like GoodNotes has like provide for you, so you can just add that and then add a note like hello da 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 da. You have these mind map shapes if you like to make mind maps, and you can like add any or take them off. You can have back to school stuff, text stamps. You have everyday stickers. So like, let's say here, as I click on it, you can change the name and change like the icon. You can also add photos just from your photos to put it as an element. Yeah, something I didn't want to add elements. Or you can also just import it from your files, from your iPad, the Files app. So that's how elements work. And I think it's really, really useful. We're going to skip the photos one and go to the text one just because it's going to make a bit more sense to do it this way. So if you take text, you can like say like, hello, I am a medic. Oola, a medic. And then here you can just move this around. You can make this bigger, make it shorter. And here you can, on the top, you can change the font. So let's say I want it to be in Dido italic. I can have that in Dido italic. I want to change the size so it goes from like 1, which I can't see a thing, to 200 points. So I'm going to have it as a 28, I think. I want it to be centered. I want automatic line spacing, but actually, no, I actually just want this line spacing. Specifically, you can change the line spacing. It goes from 1 to 200 points as well. Let's do it that way. For changing colors, you have to highlight the text, and let's say I want to change it into this color. And then you can also choose like the background of the text. So let's say you have presets here with like, you know, for example, yellow with like hard edges, or like pink with like rounded edges. But if you want to make your own, you can actually do that and change the background color, the border color, how rounded it is, the shadows and all of that. But I prefer not having anything. And then let's say that's like the way I want to write all the text that I'm going to write with the typing text, and that's like how I want to have it. You can have it, you can save it as your default if you want to. Let's just create D equals V over T. And let's say you want that as an element because you want to add it to your you know, formula. You can also do that, add that as an element, GoodNotes review, and then it's going to be there in your elements. And you can just put it everywhere you need to have that formula, basically. So that's why I really like the elements. That's how the text function works. And now we're moving on to the photo function. So the photo function here, it appears on the right. You have all the last used, like all of your last photos of your camera roll. So let's say I want to add this photo, which was from one of my latest videos. You can just add it this way. You can reshape it that way. If you click on it, you can crop. So let's say I'm like, there's too much like space, I can just crop it. And I can also share or make it an element again. So that's just an image. Or if I re-click on the photo, like the photo icon, I have all my most recent photos, or I can look at my albums, or I can insert a photo from like my cloud, not my clouds, from my files. Okay, so that's how the photo function works. The last function we have here is the pointers function. So I've been using it on and off recently when I was trying to show things. But basically, you either just have a point that you can just showcase stuff, or you can have a kind of a trail that if you keep the pen on the iPad, it's always gonna stay, but the moment you take it off, it kind of slowly fades away. The reason that we actually have that is because if you have like an HDMI cable and you want to do a presentation or show a note or like showcase something on a big board, you can actually do that. If you click on the share function, you can say mirror presenter page, for example, and then like obviously it's gonna be on the computer. And then the way you explain things is you can just, you know, be like, okay, so D equals V over T, and that is, you know, a function that's important in physics. So it's really important to remember that, whatever. Okay, so this is also a function that GoodNotes has, is the presentation mode. So you have mirror entire screen, mirror presenter page, and then mirror full page. That's also quite important. And now we're going to go back to the zoom function that I said we were going to go back to. So that's a function that allows you to write precisely with always the same zoomed in feature. So for example, if for me it's quite difficult, let's say if I'm writing hello, like hello, I am a medic. And then tomorrow I come back on my notes and then my notes like this, and I'm like, oh, I have to zoom back in, and then I zoom in a little bit too much, and then when I write hello, my name is, do you see how like this H is bigger than this H? But I like the motion I've done on the iPad is the same. It's just that it was not zoomed in to the same level. And that kind of makes your writing not the same size, and that's something that really, really does my head in. So with the zooming function, you can just have it zoomed. You can change however you want it to be. Like let's say you know that your zoom has to be, whatever, how many squares, but like I just like to have it at the max. And then you just say like, hello, my name is da 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 da, or like I am a medic, all of that jazz. So you can just write all of these things. This is very, very beautiful handwriting. So you can just have all of these things written like that and just keep your handwriting the same level. I often just move it with my finger. Like if, let's say I've reached the end of here, but there's still like space on the paper, I just move it to finish. But you can also use these things if you want. Go back to the line, go down, go down, go down. Like this is going down a line. And stuff like that. So that's basically all of the different functions of the toolbar at the top. So we're done with the toolbar. So now that we're done with the toolbar, let's look at the blue bar at the top and figure out what that means and like look at all the different things. So the little arrow is just the arrow to go back out and go back to like how the files are organized. That little 4 boxes thing show you all of the different pages within your document. You can also add a page. So let's say I can add like 3 different pages. Yeah, so I can just rearrange the pages this way. Let's say I'm like, oh, this paper, I want it to be the second. I'm just going to put it back to the first. I can also at the top click this page to be bookmarked, and it's then going to show in the favorites tabs. And then if I had an outline for my document, an outline would be here. Then the search function basically recognizes your handwriting. So let's say I'm looking for GoodNotes in my document. It's going to show me all the different times where GoodNotes was written, and it's going to highlight in orange. So that's quite useful. At the top here, you can also bookmark it that way rather than going on this interface here. Then you have this button that has the collaboration feature that we'll talk about later. You can also from within the page, from within the document, export just this page or export all of it. And when you export it, you can export it as a PDF, an image, GoodNotes, or a link. Talk about the links later. Can show options, and then when you export, it works like any other thing, like on any like iOS software. So you can either like airdrop all of that, you can send it to your files, make it as a PDF and all of that, and then send it to yourself by email. So that's how you can actually export your documents. Another way to export your documents is by going back to within the folder. Click on that little button here, highlight this, and then say export, and then you're going to have the exact same interface that you had within the note. You can also here duplicate. Now let's talk about deleting documents. So I just made a duplicate, and maybe I was like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Just highlight it and then bring it to the trash that way. The trash is actually found within the settings. You can go to the trash bin, and it works in this way. Like here, there's like my trash, and again, you can organize it by date, name, or type, and you can either select stuff to like delete them permanently or just empty the trash fully, and you can also have it that way. So it's not going to automatically delete. You have to yourself manually delete what's in the trash. So it gives you like kind of like, oh, if you made a mistake and you didn't want it deleted, you can actually retrieve that. So I can say I retrieve that, I can just click recover, and that's how I retrieve it. Going back to this to the GoodNotes test, going back on this one, you can also print it. So print this page. And then we talked about the presentation mode, okay? So another thing that I think would be important to talk about now is collaboration feature of GoodNotes. We saw that the shareable feature in 2 different areas for now. We saw it here when it says link sharing disabled, or here on this little icon and it says share link. So you can click on share link, get shareable link. And the way, so it's sharing the document. It's creating it at the moment. So now it's created the link. So I'm the owner. I can send the link, let's say, because my mom also has GoodNotes. I can share this link to my mom, and then my mom can have access to this document, and she can like also edit it. So now you see that there's a little icon next to the GoodNotes test that says that it's been shared, like it's a shareable link. And you can see here when you click on it, who are the people that are viewing it. So at the moment, it's just me. And then let's say if my mom was there, there would be my mom as well viewing it. And then again, you can send the link. Okay, so then another thing you can do is you can add a comment. So if you long press anywhere on the page, you can add a comment. So that's going to add a comment in wherever you click, that's where the comment will be added. So I can add a comment and say like, let's not like be aggressive. Make sure to make this square an actual one. Then you make the comment here, and there's the comment. So you can click on the comment, and you can see it, you can resolve it. And the way to see resolved comments is if you click on these three dots and you go to show resolved comments, and then you can just see that this is a resolved comment here. Another thing you can do in GoodNotes as well is to actually make text a link. So I can make this, let's say I can link this to, I don't know, goodnotes.com. Whenever you like click on it, that's going to bring you to an external link. So the way you add links, you can only add links on text within a text box, not like on written notes yet. So then if we continue our way, we've talked about this already. This is the back function, the going back function. The way you can also use it, let's say I'm going to write GoodNotes, or just good. And then the way you go back is you can, with 2 fingers, you can just double tap. So double tap, and that's going back. And then to go forward, you can click the button, or you can 3 fingers double tap, and then it's going to show this thing at the top, and you can just put redo. So on this like plus thing, you can either add a page, so you can add the page after this current page that you're editing on, before, or the last page. Usually you do after. You can choose a template, or if it's not a template here that you want, you can click more. You can, click on more from templates and have all the different templates here. We'll talk about templates a bit more later. Or you can just add an image, so as we've talked about, or you can add a scanned document. So I'm just going to bring up the camera, and let's say I'm just going to do that. You can click here, and then let's say I'm like, okay, this document is actually not sized as I want it to. I want it to be sized this way, and that's how my document will be. You can keep scan, and that'll add, you can click on save, and that'll add and import the scan after your pages. So it'll add the scan that way within your pages. You can also take a photo, again, and be like, okay, use the photo, and then it's being added here after, or you can just import from your files. This next feature here is the no pen function. So whenever I'm doing this, I can write on this function. Whenever I click on this, the toolbar disappears, and the pen is actually just used as if it was my finger. So just to scroll, and if I click again with my finger on the document, it becomes full screen, and if I double tap, it's fully full screen. And so you can have that sort of experience as well. So if you click on it again, it reappears, click on the pen, and the toolbar appears again. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is these 3 dots. So these 3 dots allow you to copy the page, to rotate the page, let's say 90 degrees. I'm going to rotate it back to counterclockwise that way. You can add this page to the outline, and then let's say if I add this page to the outline and I'm like, okay, that's the title page. Whenever I go back on the 4 squares thing, if I click on outline, this page will be the title sort of thing. I can change the template, or be like, okay, I want to go back to page 1, and it's going to bring me to page 1. Or I can clear the page fully, move this page to trash, show the resolved comments as we've talked about. You can also change your scrolling direction. So right now I'm in a vertical scrolling direction, but you can also put it to horizontal. So you would scroll that way, which for me, I just don't like. So I like it to have it vertical. Another thing, you have the stylus palm rejection. So I'm right-handed. It's an Apple Pencil, and I like to have the sensitivity to high, and the way I write is in this configuration. But some people maybe would write like this, and so you would want it to be for the app to know that, you know, wherever your palm's going to be and to reject that palm. So you would click on that, for example. Or if you're left-handed, you would want to change that. So that's just to make it really tailored to your experience. So now first let's talk about like the templates. Let's go back here. And so you can see that it's shared by me here on this. So let's go back here in the templates. Basically, if I'm creating a notebook, this is all of the templates that exist in GoodNotes. So you have all the paper A4. This has all the different colors, but basically GoodNotes from their own templates have like yellow paper, white paper, and dark paper. And they have paper that's like A7 size, A6, A5, A4, A3, letter, and tabloid. But let's say you wanted to have all. You have also landscape and portrait templates. Here you can choose the language of your document. But let's say that you want to have a different template that you want to import, that you make here on your own. So for example, this template here is a template I use all the time, and it's a template that I've made on my own on my computer. I use like the Pages app on my computer, and just like made all of these lines and made the paper that I wanted to be able to use. So I use it with a white paper, and then I'm just like hello, whatever. That's the template I use. So how did I actually import this template? So the way you do it here is you go on this little like settings thing, and you look at notebook templates, and here you can click on edit. So you can like change, you know, the way they show up. So if you want to have writing paper above or below. So you can click on plus as well to create a new group. So let's say it's like you create like my own template. So you can create a group that way and then add your templates to that. But I didn't bother to do that. I just put it under essentials. And if you go at the end, you basically have a plus button here, and you can import your template from files or from photos. And so that's what I did. And then I basically had my own templates that way. So that gives me the opportunity to now talk about one of the last functions of GoodNotes, which is a flashcard ability. So you can choose within the GoodNotes standard white paper template, the flashcard. Say create. And so basically here you can have a question and an answer. So let's do that. Let's say like, what degree am I in? That's the question. And then the answer would be medicine. And so the way now that to use this flashcard is to go on study flashcards, and then it's going to be like, okay, what degree am I in? I'm going to be like, click on it, and it's like medicine. And I'm like, okay, was that easy for me? Was that hard? Let's say that was good. And so that would be like, okay, congratulations, you have finished your deck for today, and to memorize the cards in this deck better, I need to come back on the 15th of April 2022. It kind of has like Anki built into it, sort of thing. I'm sure the algorithm is not as good, but like you can write your own flashcards if that's what you like, rather than having them typed up, and then just study them that way. So yeah, so that's a really good feature in my opinion. Another thing you can do with GoodNotes is that you can do split screen. So here, if you click, let's say on here, I can open that in a new window and then have these 3 notes here and then have my flashcards. So let's say here was like my degree notes, and here was my flashcards. I could be like studying my flashcards here with some of the degree notes, and be like, you know, if I was still a bit unsure, and then just be like, okay, that actually was good again, and then come back on the 20th of April, whatever. We're almost done. The next thing that I want to talk about is talking about the syncing feature, how my notes are synced. So basically, I can go here, I go on settings, I go on backup data. For backing up data is going to give me it's going to back up everything, and then I can share that somewhere else, like put that somewhere else, let's say on my computer. Or automatic backup, you click on that, you click on auto backup for me. My cloud storage, I want it to be done on OneDrive, but you can do it on like Google Drive or wherever you want to. And I want it to be, the file format to be GoodNotes format and PDF. And so basically that automatically backs up, and the backing up function is this little thing here, and it says backup successfully completed. So that's how you would automatically sync and back up your files, because you definitely do not want to lose those. Now let's maybe talk about how much does GoodNotes drain your battery. So for all this time that I've been here, I think I started on like 38% battery. I'm also screen recording this, and now I'm back down to 20%. And we've currently been filming this for an hour, which is crazy because it's going to be a very long video. So in an hour, I lost 20% battery. I don't know how much that helps. Maybe I can also go on settings and look at battery. and look at GoodNotes show usage by battery. So they've used like 35% by my battery currently, and 1 hour 8 on screen. Don't know how much that really helps, but maybe it does. And then let's just finally talk about the size of the files in GoodNotes and like how big the files are. The average file size like of a GoodNotes file is 23.1 megabytes. So it is quite big. But yeah, I think that's all. I've been talking for so long. I'm now exhausted. I hope that I've mentioned and talked about everything and that everything was in detail and that hopefully you get to really fully understand how to use GoodNotes now. But yeah, I really hope that this was useful to you, that I was clear enough and that I went in a lot of detail that you're really able to fully understand how to use GoodNotes if you were trying to do that. Again, if you're hesitating with Notability, for example, I have a comparison video between the two of them. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to let you guys go. If you did, please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and share this video with other people that could benefit from this as well. And without further ado, I'm going to go rest and eat lunch because I'm so hungry. So yeah, see you guys later. Bye!